Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks, today the Hungry Gamer is back with another mini review, and today we're talking about Taverns and Dragons from Lord Raccoon Games, designed by Quentin Vernet, Mark Vernet, Baptiste Michard, and Nastia Lane. And I'm so sorry I butchered all of those names, but Taverns and Dragons! Now, what this game is it is a worker placement, drafting, tableau building, rondel recipe fulfillment game. And in this game, what you're doing is you're trying to get your tavern to be known as the greatest tavern by the time the king arrives. The king's going to be there in 7 days, or 7 rounds. And to do that, you're going to be running around, hiring heroes to come be in your tavern. You're going to be making these recipes so you're known for these recipes, having the ingredients to cook these recipes when the king gets there. And of course, you're going to be hunting dragons. Or if you are not the type that likes the hunting of dragons, you're just going to go and through a strength of arms spar with the dragon. And if you beat the dragon in the sparring, then perhaps you will be rewarded by going through its larder and getting some dragon meat. I'm sure it's made with tofu or something. Totally sustainable. Yeah, you're hunting dragons. But the way this is going to work is you're going to be rolling 5 dice, 5 chonky dice at the beginning of each turn, and you're going to be moving one of your meeples, the exact number of spaces that you rolled. Though, of course, each of the 3 meeples has different powers. One can carry more stuff, one doesn't get hurt if it fights a dragon, the other one is really fast because he has shoes on so he can go 1 extra space. But wherever you land, you're going to be able to pick up an ingredient, you're going to be able to interact with whatever the space is, and if there's a dragon there, you're going to be able to fight the dragon, and you can also do that before you move as well. However, you're also going to be able to use your dice to get magic gems, you're going to be able to use your dice to get coins, and you're going to be able to use your dice to get more points when you fulfill recipes. And what you're seeing up there is a solo game that I was playing through, and so there's some card play which represents this druid that you're battling, but what you see in the solo game is still the same gameplay flow that you have in a multiplayer game as well. And so as you're going through the game each day, or as you progress each day, different things are going to happen. And depending on what modules you're playing with, there might be a goblin merchant that comes out, there might be events that happen, there might be this moving quests that are going around, all of those things. But as you're going through, you're trying to build up everything you can so you can craft these recipes that are on the left side of the screen there, and they're all worth points. However, most of the things that you do can get you points. Battling the dragon can get you points, as well as the very important dragon meat that you need to do some of the better recipes. Drafting heroes can get you points. In addition to that, they're all going to have special powers that they can use once every other round. They're all going to have special bonuses. If you put a magic gem on there, you're going to get that bonus. So there's lots of options in what is more or less a very simple game. Now, there's also several modules that come in the game. There is a quests one where you're kind of moving around this token, which lets you kind of go different places, do quests. There are secret missions that you can do, which are basically secret in-game scoring conditions that you can meet. There are special heroes that you can put in. They're called the heralds, and the more of them you get, then the more points you get for them. And then also they have something that will negatively affect other players around the table. And then, of course, there's a variety of different dragons that you can face, and each dragon, when it comes out, does something different to the table, and each one is easier or harder to defeat. And if you roll the fire symbol on the attack dice, then something different is going to happen. And then finally, there are individual tavern powers that you can use, because if you have a really bad roll and you use a die that's a 1, which is inherently a worse die, you're going to get a little bonus that you're going to be able to cash in throughout the game as you keep using those 1s. But really, that's pretty much, you're going to put out all 5 of your dice for 7 rounds, and then whoever has the most points at the end is going to be the winner. So what do I like about this game? The first thing is I love the aesthetic of the game. It just is beautiful. It looks so good on the table. I love the colors, I love the dragon art. I think the meeples themselves are very, well, they're fun. They're really fun, kind of weird looking things. They're big, they're chonky. Those dice, the dice are amazing. Absolutely amazing. The art on all the different hero cards is really good. It's a really lovely production in what is a small box. Because if you can see this here, that's not a big box. So I really appreciate all of that. I appreciate the game plays pretty darn quickly. and it's pretty easy to pick up, especially if you're not using any of the modules. You just jump right in, figure it out, and you're off to the races. I also think that there's a very lovely dynamic with choosing where to place your dice. That dice placement is very, very challenging sometimes because you know that you probably need some coins so you can get this hero. The hero's going to let you do this other thing, but of course you don't have those coins yet. But also at the same time, you know that the dragon's out there and you need to get some dragon meat, so you need to get yourself over there and attack that dragon. You also know that you have a recipe that you need to fulfill, but at the same time, if you're fulfilling the recipe, you're using one of your dice for that, so you're not using your dice to go fight the dragon, or go get the ingredient that you need, and so on and so on and so on. And that doesn't even touch on the different locations that you can visit, and how there are, I believe there's 10 different locations. You're going to have 4 out at any given time, which also adds to the strategy. You're trying to figure, okay, well, I'm going to use this one this time, but not this one, and maybe if I can get to this one and use that, it all starts to kind of snowball into a very fascinating game where sometimes you can have these really epic feeling turns and what is just a simple rondel mechanic. And I think the other thing that I like is I like all the little tiny modules that you can add in. For someone like me that likes kind of a medium weight game, that's what I'm looking for. I dumped all the modules in, and I have a blast with it because each one adds just a tiny bit of complexity, a tiny little bit more that you have to choose from each round, and it just really makes the game pop. So what are my quibbles with the game? The first thing is it is a light game. If you're someone who likes something a little bit heavier, you're going to have to put all those modules in. If you have to put all those modules in, then you're losing some of the kind of the variability, the a la carte-ness of this particular game. And so it's just something to kind of be aware of. And I often say this with lighter games. It's a light game. Just understand that. Next thing I'm going to say is, I think it probably plays best at a higher player count. And to be fair, I've not played at a high player count, but I think that's where it's going to really shine, as it's kind of all running around the board, taking the different heroes that someone else might be trying to get to, doing the recipes, fighting the dragon. I think that's where the game is probably going to be at its best. And then my only actual quibble with the production of the game, and it didn't bother me a lot, but as I get older, it's going to bother me. And all the tokens and things are all very, very tiny. And I wish it was all just a little bit bigger. It's just, they're very tiny, and which is kind of at odds with the big chonky dice and the big meeples, and the tokens are so very tiny. I just wish they were a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to see. And the same thing goes with the recipes, where they have the little symbols on there for what you're trying to get. I just wish they was a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to see. And then the last thing that I'll say is, I do wish that there were some more dragons, just more variety in the dragons. You only see 2 in each given game, and I believe there's 8 of them out there, so there's certainly plenty of variety, but I just wish there were a few more that did different things. I wish maybe there was the option to have more than one dragon out there at once, just to really kind of keep it exciting, keep it moving. I'm sure you can house rule that, but I just wish there was a little bit more going on with the dragons, some more modules that dealt with the dragons. But really, that's it, folks. I am so very charmed by this little game, and this is one that I almost backed, and I didn't because I just wasn't sure it was going to be heavy enough for me. And so I'm really happy that Lord Raccoon Games reached out to me and sent me a copy, because adding these modules in, I really, really enjoyed. I also really enjoy the solo play. I think the solo works really, really well. It's a little bit easy, but you can up the difficulty and it's set up for that. So all in all, I think this is a lovely, light, quick get-to-the-table game that you can play solo. I suspect you can add the druid into a higher player count game. I can't see why you couldn't. And it's just one that's just a delight to have, to throw out. And it's just a game that I'm very, very pleased with. It's just exactly what I'm looking for a lighter Euro, or maybe if you put everything in there, a light medium Euro. But there you have it, folks. That is Taverns and Dragons. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.